the trust piece is huge. If it's not a fit, I'm very direct with people. With the client, if they say, I need A through Z qualifications, I'm going to say, let's cut that list into a third. You're not going to find someone like that.
Yeah.
And then vice versa with candidates. I'm very good. Okay, even if I'm on the call and I don't think it's a good fit for them, I will say it to them right then and there.
All right. I am so excited. This is the Your Career BFF podcast. I am your career BFF, Anna Morgan, and I could not be more excited to have Erin Murphee with me today. We are going to have a great conversation. Erin, thanks for being here.
And I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for reaching out and scheduling this. I'm so honored. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. So you and I share the same passion for our community and for elevating the talent acquisition recruitment, community. You have been slowly building on LinkedIn for several years now. So I want to talk a little bit about your career journey alongside of your content creation and thought leadership and visibility, and really how that has fast-tracked you into being now a business owner and founder of Empower Erin. So why don't you give us a little quick introduction of who you are, what you're all about, and then we can dive in.
Awesome. Thank you. It's so funny. I tell people to always prepare their spiels. So here I go. Hopefully I hit it.
I know. I'm always better on the cuff too. So this is a zero judgment zone here at the Your Career BFF podcast.
So I have been in the recruiting TA space for a little over a decade. Started within a huge Fortune 500 staffing agency doing full desk sales and recruiting. Quickly realized that I really enjoyed more of the recruiting aspect, maintaining relationships, building them. Went into corporate, private to private equity, and startup companies across various industries, might I add. And now I recently launched over the past couple months, 4 months ago, my own recruiting business.
Yay! Yeah. Welcome to the club of solo entrepreneurship. You are hashtag corporate dropout for a hot second here, and I am just thrilled for you and was honored that you were one of the people that tapped me on the shoulder and said, give me the real scoop about doing this on your own. It's been a couple months. Tell us how life is. What lessons have you learned and what are you excited about?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Have I learned so many lessons? So first is giving yourself grace. I think the first couple months I was like, why am I doing this? But I am so grateful that my community, and literally community, I emphasize, were there to back me up. Like you included, Anna. When I started to think about this and venture it and put it all together more formally, I reached out to a handful of individuals, you being one of them, constantly being that career BFF, supporting people, having that no ego too, which always appreciated. And I think it was so great because a lot of the people who I spoke with are individual solo recruiter practitioners or something in that realm. Mm-hmm. It's more like, you're not stepping on my toes. I'm here to support you. There's enough for everyone to go around. And that was what I absolutely loved hearing, is just the support from the network, from the community, from individuals to be like, you've got this. Like, let's go. Reach out for any help that you might need. But the hurdles for me is really just more my internal battles. Like, am I moving fast enough? Why shouldn't I should have more clients at this point, stuff like that. I'm like, okay, Erin, pump your brakes. I've got this. I already have this in the books. It's okay. Start to trickle in. And truly, when I start to listen to that more, inner monologue, the positive inner monologue, that's when I'm seeing it more, lay out the way I anticipated and fighting against the negativity in my own.
Yeah. And were you like so many recruiters that experienced a downsize or a layoff, which was the tipping point to go, okay, I think this is the universe's sign. It is time for Empower Erin.
Oh, yes. So, I mean, backstory real quick. So I always knew since I was a little girl, I wanted to do something on my own. I never knew what it was. If you ask my parents, they're like, yep, you'll be your own CEO of something one day, just because I can work really well.
We say that about my daughter just because she's so bossy.
Yes.
I'm like, this is going to serve you great when you're 30.
Yes. No, it's not bossy. It's leadership and training is what I always say. And I say it to my daughter too. And
I'm stealing that. Thank you.
But I always just had that in me. I mean, I was a team captain a lot of the times. I was the head of a lot of groups and stuff like that, and loved being able to coach and lead individuals. And that's why I think this was always a path I had to go on. I just didn't know where it was going to land. Fast forward, worked for a startup for a few years. Absolutely loved it. Loved the speed, loved building and creating and stuff. But yes, unfortunately, lots of downsizing happening within that organization. And I knew it was happening. So I was like, all right, every fiber in my being is telling me, go, Erin, this is faster than you anticipated, but let's go. And my husband, I'm so grateful. He was like, all right, let's try it out. See what happens. And like literally that happened within a 2-day time period, I'm going to say. And I filled out all the paperwork online and here we are.
Here you are. And it's like, what else do I need? Do I need insurance? Do I need a landing page? And the community aspect and your brand and your reputation, that is what has opened the doors and allowed you to just accelerate immediately with clients, placements, and continued opportunity, right? We're going to come back to that because I want to talk a little bit about your early career because I know you. We've spent several years together serving job seekers through Ask a Recruiter. And early career, I know you started as a director of youth development. Is that where the passion, you said leadership and training began, as well as your passion for fitness and well-being, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I went to college for exercise science, minor nutrition. So always passionate about it. But truthfully, when I went to school, that's
perfect to be a recruiter and talent manager.
Exactly. But it's very interesting whenever, and I think a lot of people hit this hurdle too. When I was applying to schools, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I
thought I wanted to be a veterinarian, and that requires math.
Right. So, but I applied. I knew I loved health, fitness, stuff like that. So I went into school with that focus, graduated with that degree. Then I worked at the nonprofits and youth. I loved working with kids, being around kids. They just gave me so much joy too and passion. So worked at the nonprofit for a few years too, and loved everything about it, the moving of the body and just constantly educating. It was a lot of high school, college students, volunteers, even stay-at-home parents who were looking to get back into the world. I was just able to kind of help bring that, more life to them almost in a way. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, it's a diverse population that you're dealing with, which is critical as a recruiter, because as you know, we speak to, early career to executive across all different industries. If you have to think back to those early career days, what lessons or leadership philosophies were you able to take from those experiences in the world of recruiting and talent acquisition?
Oh, that's a really great question. Almost to what you just said, that
adults are like children.
Yeah. No, really though. It's, you treat everyone differently, and everyone wants to be heard. Kids want to be heard. Adults want to be heard. They want to be seen. And I think that's just one of my, at least from what I've been told, is one of my superpowers, quote unquote, on almost every review I've had in my corporate job is real human connection. I'm able to connect with the people no matter what environment, no matter who they are, where they come from. And I just love that I get that. I'm I love that I make people smile. I love that I'm able to get something out of you to really shine your light and be this is what you need to do. You got it, run with it. And that's kind of what that background helped me build up to where I am now.
Okay. I love that. I do want to unpack this a little bit more because I as well have thought about this from EQ, relationship and trust building, and talent advisor standpoint. I've always kind of embodied that, think like an owner mentality, which served me well in corporate. Mm-hmm. So when you think about, transitioning as that youth director into recruiting, and the success that you've had over the years, what are some of your trust builders or ways that you're able to immediately build that connection? I find it very difficult to articulate it because it's so intuitive, inherent to me. And with my little rabbit brain, I'm like watching eye contact and body language and observing, the virtual space or the in-person space. And I know, how we've connected with people post-COVID has certainly evolved. But what are some of your magic trust accelerators that you've, used in your hiring intake meetings or with your stakeholders and now clients?
I love that. This is such a great question. And really EQ comes into play so much. And it's, I don't think it's so underrepresented. Underrepresented.
Yes.
Got it.
Luckily, we have people like Jihan or Anthony that both do EQ and Strengths Finders. They can be so beneficial, but knowing how to leverage and what to say and how to pivot and how to move and how to talk with authority and to help our hiring teams feel like, hey, this recruiter knows their stuff, which is also part of breaking the stigma around all recruiters are just order takers and paper pushers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think back, I think sometimes people can come across as people pleasers in this type of role sometimes when they are able to connect with people. But I think one of my biggest strengths and why it comes into my superpower, I do want people to come out of that conversation one step happier, understanding things and knowing the why factor and can trust me right away. But the trust piece is huge. If it's not a fit, I'm very direct with people. With the client, I'll be if they say I need A through Z qualifications, I'm going to say, let's cut that list into a third. Like, you're not going to find someone like that. Yeah. So, and then vice versa with candidates, I'm very direct. Okay. Even if I'm on the call and I don't think it's a good fit for them, I will say it to them right then and there. And I don't want to waste people's time. But also it's not me turning people away. I'm like, this is not a fit, but let's dig into this piece a little bit more. Let's make sure we understand it. So then when I do get a client that looks for this little golden nugget, you are here. I don't want you to fit that mold. I want to find what mold fits you. So I think for me, that's definitely a huge piece that I'm able to continue to build on my community and my clients and such is that trust.
Trust and transparency. Yeah. What are some of the things that you like to do prior to like an intake meeting? Say it's a new hiring manager or new client. What are some of the things so that you do ahead of time so that they know where they're going on this recruiter journey with you, right? Like, how are you the tour guide of the recruiting process? That again, pre-intake meeting, what happens in the intake meeting, and then kind of your process after that, more speaking around like the hiring manager process versus the candidates, but that's equally important.
No, absolutely. First, I always do research not only on the company, but the people at the company, where they've come from, how they have personally progressed their careers to understand, and then also the team that they're looking to hire for. So really kind of, pulling each piece apart and then getting into the job description and really breaking it down, what I see as their must-haves and such. And I have that all filled out. Typically, I'll send a template for them saying, this is what we're going to be discussing. But when we open up the conversation, I want to hear from you. I want to understand how you work, what you prefer to do. Again, that's what I'm pretty decent at, I'll go at what you need, but
Mm-hmm.
also it's a give and take relationship at the same time. So I
100%.
need like you to work at this speed, but
Mm-hmm.
and be honest and give me the direct feedback. But also if you need to work at this speed, then I'll go and like, as long as it's right up front.
As long as we're communicating and there's mutual respect. And,
Exactly.
I would use language like, this is how I've, had success with managers like you in the past. And this, I also oftentimes will use the words that other hiring managers have said about me, just again, for that social proof and credibility. But very similarly, hey, I understand this is open. This is what I understand about you and the role, what I hope to learn. But this meeting is about you and, finding your next ideal hire, which we know because we've interviewed enough hiring managers that when they're short-staffed or have, associates that aren't performing at the level they need to be, that impacts their life, right? Whether they don't get to their, children's basketball games or tennis games, stuff like that. So showing that just, I see you, I understand you, I want to understand you and partner with you is so important. How do you think your visibility on LinkedIn has been a trust accelerator for you?
It really has been a big game changer for me. I am so grateful that I guess back in 2020, it was COVID time.
Yeah, we all got, LinkedIn influencer, content creator. We're going to be a coach energy.
It was right before it. I will say, like, it was probably 2019, 2018. I started to do things. I remember putting on training for the corporate team that I worked for and being like, this is so important. People want to see people. They want to be heard. They want to be seen. And then they'll know what our product is. Let's do these. And I will tell you, only a couple specific individuals took that. And now they are running. They are like, the brand is huge. They're getting crushing with business and stuff like that. And so I started to do that then. And now fast forward, that's how I gained all my clients. So it's either people that I
almost don't want to tell people that by just having my mug on LinkedIn, I'm going to get job orders.
Exactly.
Don't tell anyone.
I'm like, there's no like super trick. It's just like people want to know you.
Exactly.
There's so much spam and there's so much, advertisement and stuff, but people are going to gravitate towards people first. Again, #human connection, and then they'll know what's going on.
100%. Yeah.
But really, all the clients that I've gained truly are either from my past relationships that I've had, that I've maintained and never burned a bridge, to just me being out on LinkedIn. And they're like, hey, I saw you started your business. I've been following you for a few years. Let's chat. And I've gained more clients because of that.
Incredible. Congratulations. I mean, that is so huge for anyone that's listening in people first leadership, whether you're an individual contributor or an executive, like now is the time. And it's to take imperfect action because we never know who is going to read that post or see that video or read that newsletter that may positively impact them. And I know, you're like me, high energy, fun. You don't mind sharing about your family or, leadership outside of the world of work in ways, whether that's parenting or marriage or health and fitness or yoga. So I really appreciate that. And your, multitasking, working treadmill videos are absolutely epic. Every time I'm like, what's happening? You're very coordinated.
Sometimes, not all the times, but appreciate.
Well, I've never seen any blooper reels.
Yes. Well, I mean, coordinated in life sometimes, but not all the
time. Going back to thought leadership and, serving us as entrepreneurs and in the corporate world, I'd be sitting in my cube and have someone from like the 5th floor come through and be like, I love what you're posting on LinkedIn. And I would be like, oh, I didn't even know that we're connected. But like you said, so many clients have come from past coworkers, past coaching clients have come in that were past hiring managers from 10 years ago that have been following along. I was rehired by my past employer 5 times, and 95% of why, I believe, is because they could not stop seeing my face on LinkedIn. And they're like, Anna back to stabilize the merchandising team,
I love it.
Which opened up doors, right? Allowed me to, create a working situation that was good for me. And you made me laugh when you were talking about your husband saying, hey, I'm going to do this, and how supportive he was. When I went to my husband, I was like, hey, I want to do this. And he was like, what? And he's like, you had just signed like permanently to go back there. And I was like, yeah, as soon as I signed, I realized I had made a mistake. And out of respect, I ended up working like almost a 6-month notice. So I could, meet the needs of my family so he wouldn't be like nervous. And it's all worked out. But, taking those bets and those chances and having the tough conversations, whether it's with candidates or hiring managers or our spouses about our careers, is humbling, but absolutely necessary. Any other downloads or big lessons for anyone that's thinking about, dropping out of corporate and going out on their own in this market that you would say, hey, don't forget about these things? Any other thoughts?
Yeah. So many thoughts, but I mean, the number one, I know we kind of touched on this, is definitely leaning on your community, leaning on your network, the people that you've gotten to know just through network, LinkedIn and stuff like that. More people are willing to help than not. I'm so grateful for that. But it's not only just the help to get it started, but also partnership. I partner with a couple other solo recruiters, their own businesses, because why not? It's better, to work with a team, focus that team fulfillment almost, but also having your own thing. And just all together, I mean, just being open to failing, because there's definitely, there has been a client that I have taken on and I'm like, okay, I definitely shouldn't have taken them on. But just learning.
It's like I question some of the engineering job orders that I take, and I'm like, hello, mechanical engineers, if you're out there in Atlanta, let's talk.
But don't push away the red flags. And that's what it was for me with that specific client. I shouldn't have taken them on. And it wasn't even about the positions, it was about the client. So I did take steps back. So just really being true to yourself in this journey, not being okay with the bare minimum. But the other pieces too, of course, the back end, all the systems that you need to get set up for, how to stay prioritized. Your boundaries is the biggest thing that I think was the hurdle for me. I was great at setting them in the corporate world. I was really great. I worked long hours and stuff like that, but I also knew when to shut it off. I worked out all the time. But the past few months, I had to kind of be it was hard. It was hard for me to make time for myself and not everything else. So I added on a health and fitness coach for myself to keep me accountable, because I needed that. And, just don't be afraid to kind of pull different levers and set your boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always am willing to speak with women entrepreneurs as well to share the humble lessons I've learned, because I'm like, it doesn't matter about your logo or your perfect website. It is about the conversations. And I know you are very active on the platform. One of the things that's important as you're building a brand, right, especially on LinkedIn, is really that reciprocity, right? Like giving to others, so that when you've decided to make this pivot, you have now earned the right to pick up the phone and say, hey, Anna, you've been a great BFF the last couple of years. We've shared the stages. I'd love to speak with you about your experience as an entrepreneur. And that was a hell yes. But, we've been building slowly over all these years since 2020, I guess. Thank you for Tabitha for probably connecting us way back when. And I just think it's important. It's a two-way street, right? For people that want to start creating content, start small. Simply start with engaging in the comments. Yeah. That's where I found my content creation voice, because I'm like, oh, the comments are like a playground. Nobody's really judgy there, but they definitely are. But then that's when I would take the comment and repurpose it into a post before LinkedIn had that feature. But would you say that you have any system or methodology for engagement, or do you just kind of do like I do from an intuitive, like ping pong conversation strategy?
I love this. Yes and no at the same time. Definitely. I mean, I definitely have a target. I try to engage on it, put 5 comments a day on posts, make sure they're thoughtful. Not just saying, yeah, I agree. Awesome. Stuff like that. But being, as thoughtful as possible. And then my own, and then I'm always sharing jobs from what other people are posting, because I just want to get it out there, further the reach. But
that's a whole like collaboration over competition energy. There's enough to go around. Like,
I'm like, I don't care. Like, it's fine.
Let's all be a BFF to each other. And I love that you think that way, because honestly, not everyone does. And there's a lot of gatekeeping and clicks and just bad behavior in this space, I think. And I think it's important to highlight voices like yours that, shows that, collaboration over competition and the power of your community and what's possible.
Mm-hmm. It's kindness goes a long way. It all comes full circle, and good people know good people. I agree. But I mean, for my post too, if anyone's looking to start posting, I mean, the little things I feel like get some of the biggest engagements. It's, I take screenshots of emails, of text messages, emails, and like of positivity and just feedback giving people. That's because not only is it helpful for candidates, but it's also helpful like clients seeing that I'm making a difference.
It is
for them.
So
all of it
for social proof. And as a business owner, you get much better about asking for a testimonial or a recommendation, especially in that moment when someone's raving, like hit record.
Yes, exactly.
And then what are your, going back to the relationship building and trust building, you seem like a very strong communicator. So you had the intake meeting, probably follow up with post-intake notes, any additional research that you do. And then do you have calibration calls with your hiring teams and feedback calls? One of the things that I found so helpful in one of the contracts I worked on was starting to have anyone who interviewed a panel, say 2 or 3 hiring managers. Once that interview was scheduled with the candidate, the follow-up debrief session was scheduled by the scheduler, which I loved having. And in those meetings, the recruiter facilitated the feedback session. Mm-hmm. And through that, there were so many times there was alignment between the team through those feedback conversations, as well as an opportunity for me or the recruiter to manage up or educate that hiring team, because honestly, many hiring managers just don't know better when it comes to recruiting, what they can say, what they shouldn't ask, et cetera. Yeah. And that was a huge accelerator into, aligning the teams, reducing bias and discrimination, and also being able to advocate for a candidate that maybe didn't have every little perfect word on the resume, and really get those conversations going. And then the ripple effect is those teams then had a better understanding of recruiting, more respect for the talent function, and then it felt like a true partnership. Truly a huge accelerator in so many areas for me. I don't know if you ever did, feedback loops like that. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love the feedback loops, and I do it a couple different ways too. So absolutely, the feedback has to come back to me within 24 hours, because then your brain shifts. I read an article before where it's like your brain starts to change the scenarios and understanding of it. So I always suggest people to record it no matter what, because then it's able to, break everything down and really give true, honest feedback versus going off of your gut feel.
Yes.
So I'm able to get that. But then, yes, once everyone interviews, we do a debrief session. Some people will go in a different direction and be like, oh, but they didn't have this. We didn't talk about that. You didn't want that. This coming. Like, let's reel this in. Maybe this is also something that you would like to have, and it's something you can coach them on. Let's talk about the messages that are there.
Yeah. Well, and it helps them prioritize those non-negotiables.
Exactly.
And I think it gives candidates a little bit more leverage where we can advocate. And I think this is for anyone listening that doesn't necessarily think of the nuances that recruiters do, is that, we've already done the initial screen. We have the content from the resume. We've had time to get to know you. And that's where, again, that advocacy and soft versus hard skills, I think, comes into play to be able to support them in making that decision,
Exactly.
How are you leveraging AI in your business right now for everything?
I know. I truly, so I use Gemini and ChatGPT for the most part to put together. I don't have it. I'll write something up and I'll put it all together, and then it will just make it a little prettier for me a lot of the time.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, maybe what am I missing? What do I need to do on this? But also tell me a little bit more about X company so I can take into this part a little bit more. And especially if it's an industry that I'm not super familiar with, give me competitors that are listed. And so those are the main pieces that I use. But then, automation in general. I love automation. So having Calendly is wonderful, and being able to have people select calendar links and just the build out emails that the AI uses, or that I have AI in the system. It saves so much time, but it's still my human element in it. Of course, I'll tweak it, and always we have to make sure to look at it and review it before sending over anything, bios, debriefs, something like that, to make sure it all meshes well. But definitely makes my life a bit easier, I'd say.
From the administrative side, I mean, as I was leaving corporate, I was getting up and running with ChatGPT, and I was like, where has this been my whole life?
I know.
I like the Hemingway app, and I did have to take English 101 twice. So
that was me with math, so I understand.
Yeah, I had to take that one twice too. No, I'm just kidding. Very high on the EQ, but everything else is a little
I hear
questionable. I'm definitely a lot of fun. Anyway, oh my gosh, so many nuances in regards to building trust and how we work with our hiring teams, and how we truly want our candidates to win. We don't just discard them and want to start over. Like you said earlier, you're happy to say, hey, I'm not seeing why this is a fit. The purpose of this call is to determine mutual fit. Like, let's get into it. And then here's what I'm thinking for the future. And then everyone leaves the call feeling, like you said, seen, heard, and understood, and optimistic for the job seeker. And same for the hiring manager. When we go in as that subject matter expert, again, with a kick-ass brand and social proof of our journey. And I think it comes down to the soft skills and not being afraid to have conversations, because when I think about the organic learning that's happened like in office, and then how I navigated the remote networking world is very different. And my heart goes out to early career folks that started working remotely during COVID and are trying to navigate their professional development and their careers, because it really takes an extrovert or someone who, is proactive in looking at an org structure and saying, how can I figure out who I can learn from?
Yep.
Who could be a potential mentor, or who's doing the work that I hope to do in the future? Most people don't think like that, to be curious and go and say, Erin, I see that you've been in learning, for 5 years.
Yeah.
Can we have lunch one day?
You brought up, oh my gosh, this is like a whole nother topic right now. I love it.
Welcome to my squirrely brain.
I love it though, because I never really thought about it in that way, because there's definitely, I remember being in the office in different corporate offices, and I would walk into the CEO's office and be like, hey, I just want to chat and talk to you. I'm like, this is what I want to do. I need growth. And like, that's how I've stayed at companies before, because I've had that.
Mm-hmm.
You're so right. It's just such a different experience, not only for recent grads, but people that are more introverted and are working remotely. You can't just walk across the hall and...
No. And then a lot of people are like, forget social media. I mean, I've had to tell like coaching clients in the past, like, the way I coach thought leadership and visibility and, being found by recruiters is through LinkedIn. And there's a whole, open to work strategy that I coach, but it involves social media, which is LinkedIn. And I've had clients say, I'm not doing social media. And I was like, okay, I totally respect that. But you have to also accept that you're analog in the world of digital. Yep. And this is old school versus new school. And your competition is going to be fairly fierce. Yeah. And walking them through that is like, I don't want to be a social media bully, but conversations, period. Whether you're early career, trying to figure out if you're going to create content, it's all about, how do I get that conversation started? How can I position myself for someone to say yes? What are the actions I can do to earn the right to get that hiring manager to say yes? Whether that's walking by the CEO's office and just saying hi, or, I used to get little gifts for my hiring managers when I would travel, just saying, hey, I thought of you when I was in Germany, and those, again, turned into clients, turned into referrals, turned into, more opportunity down the line. So again, going back to like how you can unpack being a natural relationship builder is ask yourself, how can I start more conversations, and how can I be more curious of others? Because for me, it doesn't come from, I need to know this stuff so I can make the placement. It honestly comes from, where did Erin go to school? How many kids does she have? Does she like dogs? Like, what did she study? How did, exercise support her in being successful in recruiting? That's just how my brain works. But now, going back to AI, you have a tool that can help you brainstorm how, and even probably map out a whole connection strategy for you, to help build that skill. Because just like when you started sharing on LinkedIn, it was awkward and unscripted maybe, and not perfect. I look back at some of them,
I cringe a little bit.
It's about to be October. My Ursula video is going to be coming out soon.
I love it.
Or my Twilight Zone job seeker video. So, there's just so many lessons that you can learn. And it's just about sticking with it and learning from the lessons, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think just to go back to what we were saying too, if people want to be seen, but you have to be seen. And
so what do you think is one of the most underrated skills that, anyone needs right now? I mean, I was thinking like, what is the most marketable skill that someone could have right now? Yeah. Underrated, most marketable. Let's go with most marketable.
My goodness.
His face.
I think, truly it's being, if you're looking for a leadership role, it's being that player coach. like being comfortable, like still like being in the thick of things, being tactical, but also being able to know that you're strategic. And like, I think a lot of people, they're like, all right, once I get into that leadership role, management role, I'm done doing these pieces. But like, that's actually where a lot of cuts are happening, is people are not touching in like the baseline areas of the business anymore. I'm not managers, you're done. So like, it's really making sure you're still in tune with it. So really showcasing that. How can you showcase that you're still in tune with what's going on in your industry and your market and your role? And building from there. And that's why really social media a lot of the times.
Yeah. And having conversations and then building in public too. Like,
exactly.
One, you have to remind yourself that people don't pay that much attention. I get in my head sometime and like, they're going to know that I didn't launch the open to work something, and I'm like, it's okay. Like we can go in a different direction and there's nothing wrong with that. And to your point, it's the not like scripted pieces of content that end up doing the best or are the ones that are the most relatable. I was looking back at some of my higher performing posts for as I get ready to launch Evolve, the HR and TA conference in Atlanta in January. Just some of my impressions and metrics. And one of those was about my talk that I did with Disrupt HR. And I know you are on a Disrupt board, and I have to thank you. You were one of the first people that introduced me to the Disrupt world as I saw your great presentation that first time. So tell me a little bit about that and how that has amplified your leadership or taught you new skills.
I love that. Well, first off, amazing that you got into Disrupt HR and did your presentation
all the way out in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I was like, I don't care. I need to do a Disrupt talk somewhere, and could not have been happier that the Sioux Falls folks said yes, because they are amazing. And I'm going back there for next year and a second engagement workshop that I picked up from that talk.
Yeah. And to that point, it's expanding across just your little bubble there and such. So it's huge. Disrupt, I got into, I went to a couple of the events and I was just really interested in what they did. And I submitted my application to be a speaker. And I did something very outside of the box. I made a fool of myself, I'm pretty sure, but also it caught people's attention. I have so many relationships now because of that speech. Yeah. And now
tell us a little bit more about what the speech was and the opening to paint the picture.
Yeah. So my speech, it was 2 years ago, actually this month, and it was about AI and automation within the TA HR field.
Hey, you were ahead of the curve.
Yes. And it was about not being afraid and embracing it, but also it's not going to replace us. I did it to the song Mr. Roboto opening up. Hopefully you've heard of it before, but sung the song, acted like a robot, but basically that song is...
All right, come on, let's do our robot.
Yes, but basically that song is about how they replaced prison guards with robots, and the prisoners were able to run away because there weren't real humans there watching after them. There weren't real humans incorporated in the situation. So I flipped it, being like, this is why it's always going to be needed. We're going to be needed, but we need to also amplify ourselves by using these tools to take us to the next level. So.
Yeah. I mean, I love the fact that AI empowers me to be a more present, responsive, and thoughtful recruiter. And, the neurospicy rabbit hole, super focus side of me is like, oh, I can't wait to learn more. But I also know that it can be the downside as an entrepreneur when you're like, oh, I gotta learn this. I gotta get out of the business. So we've talked a lot about trust, managing hiring managers, working with candidates, ensuring a great candidate experience. going out on your own, as well as your journey with health and fitness and how you prioritize your day. I think for anyone listening, it's all about being radically honest with yourself, which is, I heard a lot, not being afraid to build in public and earn the right to ask your community for support. And your journey has just been amazing. And you were always such a awesome guest on the Ask a Recruiter stages, which is why I was like, we need to have this conversation because we're absolutely kindred spirits when it comes to the world of work and recruiting. And as another, one female entrepreneur to another, I was like, heck yes, go, Erin, go. And a fellow outlier. So, we're out here trying to be extraordinary, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And
so let's close out by talking a little bit more about Empower Erin, any hot roles that you're working on, and any areas of focus that you're looking to kind of solve in this particular market or area of focus.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a handful of clients that I'm working with through Empowering Talent. And, a few new ones coming on my plate, VP of sales, enablement positions, but also some engineering roles that I've been touching on. All have been within like a seed to Series C type company. Or also just, hypergrowth, change management, private to private equity, I'd say. When that transition happens, a lot is going on.
Yes. And I know about that right now.
Yeah. And it's fun to me. I did it when I was full-time with corporate world, working in those environments, and I thrived off of it, which really kind of gave me the taste of my own stuff. Yeah. But no, I'm working on a lot of those types of companies, everything within the tech space. Okay. Loving it though.
And then you work local recs as well as national for virtual clients, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So mine are spread across from really east to west coast. And then, yes, I'm in right outside of the Philly area. Go Birds.
Yay.
And I actually am in a couple networking groups locally here who I help other solo mompreneurs.
Good. Well, that actually is a nice segue into, the world of, I would say, networking and trust building. And I say this to job seekers, like your job search is like a stool with three legs. And in order for it to stay standing up, you have to apply. You have to have a virtual brand, and then you have to get out there and meet people human to human. So you're doing networking. I know that you are headed to a conference this fall. What other, professional development or community events are you looking forward to?
Yeah. Oh, well, yes. RecFest this fall, Disrupt HR this fall, lots of things going on. Truly, the other events is anything within.
Friends should come to Atlanta and speak at Evolve in January. Let's go.
Yes, send me. I'll look it up. I would love to do that. There's so many of you out there. Oh, wait, I'm excited now. This is in my head. No, it really, I want to get it out there more because I work at home remotely, and my goal is to go to at least one networking event a month and to be able to get out there outside of my networking groups that I have localized. Okay. I want to be able to go in person and meet with people and new people that I've known on social media for quite some time.
It's the best. And then I'm like, but you need a headshot photographer because that does not look like you. I'm always surprised at either how tall or not so tall people are when I meet them.
People are always surprised at my height. I'm a little shy of 5 foot, and people are always like,
"We'll be in good company with a whole 5'2" over here."
But people are like, "I pictured you taller just because of how vibrant you are."
Yeah, because of your energy. I will take that. No, that's exciting. Well, yes, I will be headed to RecFest. You are joining us. I'm hosting a shared housing experience, reliving my sorority days. And so I'm excited to host you all and to see, what comes from that experience. And I think we've had such an awesome conversations. I really want you to just move to Atlanta and us to be like neighbors and raise our kids together. Come on.
Let's do it. I mean, why not?
So I have two more questions. One, what is the like craziest role that you've filled over your career?
Mm-hmm. That's a really great question.
Do you want me to go while you think? We'll do that ahead of time.
Honestly, I don't know if I'd say like craziest, but like definitely the most memorable one was in my staffing days. And I was doing just more entry mid-level individuals for quite some time. And I got a VP of customer service. And I will never forget when I filled it with, not only did I get the sale, so it was my client, but I also filled it with my candidate. Most memorable placement I will ever have, because it was just like, I can do this.
Yes. I mean, that's the beauty of that agency world. If you actually can heal from the trauma of the bullpen world. But hey, I used to love making sales calls. People are like, I love sitting next to you. I learned so much. I'm like,
my gosh.
I love to talk for a living.
Like it's normal.
Yeah. But that goes back to being curious and asking questions. And then when I worked at corporate and I would get called on by agency people, I was so nice. I was always so nice.
Yep. Same.
But I like wanted to turn around and coach them and be like, hey, why don't you start with this hook?
There's so many stories. I just had someone call me the other day, and it was about a company that I worked for 2 years ago. They were trying to sell me to that or not 2 years ago, like 2 jobs ago. They were trying to sell me to about a product for that company. I was like, I don't even work there anymore, but let me give you this. Like,
I know. I think my cell number is still tied to my extension at my corporate office, so I still get tons of.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Anyway, I just use it as a networking tool. I'm like, where do you work? Yep. You should come to the Atlanta recruiter meetup. Yeah. Mine was a canola breeder. I worked for an ag tech company. What? And Erin, when I tell you, you can relate to this having done medical, but I couldn't pronounce half the words in the job description. So the great thing about job seekers and candidates is they are great coaches and teachers. When it comes to, working a rec in a new space where you're like, how do I do this? And I didn't use AI then. If I had it now, I definitely would.
Learned a lot.
I always say one of my favorite movies is The Breakfast Club.
That's one of mine too. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I always say, like, sadly, high school never ends for us, that it often follows us from homeroom to the boardroom. And in corporate life, many of us would fall into the category of, a princess, a rebel, a basket case, a nerd, and a criminal, And so I'm curious, like, what your spicy take on is from the home, the boardroom meeting the Breakfast Club kind of energy of what we are experiencing in the world of work today.
Yeah. Oh, this is, it doesn't sound deep, but
I was definitely a princess. I'm just going to own it.
What'd you say? You're what? A princess?
I said, I am definitely the princess. I'm just going to own it.
I love it. Yeah. I think you're princess with rebel, though. I think anyone who starts their own thing is a rebel for sure. And just, there's so many moments not to, I guess, praise myself, but there's a few conversations that come to mind where my past people who used to report to me, they'd come up to me and they'd say, I really appreciate you speaking up for me and saying this, but not only I'd Teams chat them and say, hey, speak up, use this voice, like use your voice, say this. I don't need to do it for you. And like, I'll never, those moments of them coming to me so many times saying, I appreciate you. I appreciate, like, you're not afraid to speak up, and also giving me my voice is always going to go with me. And I mean, it's like 3 people in particular that I think of just the top of my head who constantly said that to me. Yeah. And I think that's where I come in, like the rebel factor, where even growing up, like I was known as the peacekeeper in my friend group, in my family group, but it was the peacekeeper, but I was also comfortable speaking up for people and being like, all right, let's see both sides.
I'm way more comfortable speaking up for other people than myself sometimes.
Right? I'm better at giving advice than doing it myself. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's interesting. We all have those coming of age moments, right? And those conversations through, the people we surround ourselves with, whether it's a Saturday detention or not. What we do, with those relationships, the things that we say, how we follow up, how we nourish those relationships, ultimately builds the foundation for what's possible, as an entrepreneur or in the corporate world, I would say. So I was just curious about, one, if you liked the Breakfast Club, and then two, if you, agreed with kind of that sentiment. I just kind of see it between the lines a little bit. It's like, are we still in high school? No, we're not in high school. Here at the Career BFF podcast, everyone has a seat at the table, and, we try to have as many real, raw, and down to earth conversations like we've had today. Certainly not perfect, very pinball and ADHD, but most of our community
together
will absolutely be able to hang with us on this conversation. So I am so excited to hang with you in Nashville this fall. Thank you for being a part of my life, for being a friend, and for just elevating me through your courage, your content, and your community. So it's been awesome having you today. And you want to send us out with one little piece of wisdom, whether it's for a job seeker based on a current win that you've had, or for a hiring team. What would you send us off with?
Yeah. Well, before I say that, thank you for being everyone's career BFF. And I really, you really are. You're so welcoming. You're so giving and just kind all around. So appreciate you. Number one advice is just being honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest to others. I know that sounds so cliche and silly, but when you're not honest in the interview process, when you're not honest to clients, aren't honest to the recruiters and stuff, then it's going to fail. It's going to flop. So be very honest of what you're looking for, your experience, what you need. And then that's when the true beauty and partnership comes through and everyone shines a little brighter.
You can tell we are students of Tabitha Kavanaugh, because it's like, what does she say? Like, all transparency starts by, telling the truth. And it is such a simple guidepost. But I think it is an absolute differentiator in the space. And I will kind of add to that and remember, one conversation can change our lives. And two, put in the work to have the conversations. And, it's a fine line between like shoot your shot as a candidate or an entrepreneur. Just ask yourself, have I earned the right, to shoot my shot? But you definitely have shot out of a cannon, and we are all celebrating you and excited to see what the rest of 2025 holds. And I'm just going to, peer pressure you into, coming to Evolve and speaking to the Evolve Atlanta community later this year. So invite coming soon.
Yes, I would love to. Mark it down.
All right, Erin, have a great day. We'll talk soon. That's another episode of Your Career BFF podcast in the books. Just because the episode is over doesn't mean the learning stops. Your Career BFF podcast will be back to drop more knowledge in our next episode. If today gave you something to think about, made you laugh, or sparked an aha moment, that's your indication to follow, rate, and review the show wherever you listen. Until next time, I'm your Career BFF. Keep showing up, keep learning, and keep leading fearlessly. See you soon.